So my journey to this stage was very difficult. I had a lot of challenges growing up. I went to about 6 or 7 different schools before I ended up here at Roger Bacon. I went to Montessori schools. I went to private schools. I went to public schools. I went to really hoity-toity, private schools. And I never really felt like I connected. I didn't belong. I constantly was having teachers telling me I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Having coaches tell me I'm not strong enough. I'm not athletic enough. You see, back then, ADHD was something not a lot of people knew about. It was considered a disability, but I look at it as a superhuman power. And it's funny because when you're in school, they call it attention deficit hyperactive disorder. But when you get out of school, they call it you're an energetic multitasker.
As a young man growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, I had 3 distinct dreams. I wanted to become a Marine, a firefighter, and an entrepreneur.
So I was literally laying on my couch one day watching a special on building construction, and I saw this incredible technology that was used in September 11th to help people find their way out of the World Trade Tower. It's literally sold this material out of the trunk of my car, and finally my fire chief sat me down and said, you have something that is revolutionary for the fire service, and you need to treat this more than just a hobby.
I refinanced my home, maxed out my credit cards, took nearly all of my family savings to officially start my journey to entrepreneurship.
There's no innovation better than the back of a fire truck with a bunch of firefighters sitting around talking about solving problems, be it political problems, be it technical problems, engineering problems. Firefighters don't quit. You're not able to call 912 after you call 911. We have to solve the problem, and they do an amazing job. And I remembered a quote from one of my favorite leaders of all time, Teddy Roosevelt. And he said, when you're faced with a monumental decision, the best thing to do is the right thing. The next best thing to do is the wrong thing. But the worst thing to do is to do nothing.
I had a dream that I wanted to be a U.S. Marine, I wanted to be a firefighter, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was 18 years old, and I had to wait exactly till I was 18 years old because my parents didn't want me to go into the Marine Corps, I signed up at the recruiter station, joined the Marine Corps, and it was just a wonderful experience. Got to travel all around the world, see really exciting different cultures, meet different types of people and help them out, and it was a great experience. After getting out of the Marine Corps about 50 pounds ago, I decided...
And finally, my fire chief sat me down and said, look, you've really got something that's going to revolutionize and change the fire service. You need to get a little bit more serious about it. And so I remembered a quote from Teddy Roosevelt, one of my favorite leaders of all time. He said, if you're faced with a monumental decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. But the worst thing you can do is to do nothing. Eventually, you are going to come to a point in your time where you have a crisis. It may be in a couple years from now in college. It may be a few years after that. But at some point in time, there's something that's going to happen. It could be an illness. It could be a problem with drugs or alcohol. It could be a problem with abuse. It could be a whole host of other things, a mental illness. And we're going to find that crisis, and we're going to eventually find our own abyss that I talked about before. And it is in that abyss is when you have clarity. That's when the warrior makes that transformation from being that normal person to that transformation. And you shed your past, you conquer your fears, you stop what got you in there. Because some of these crises are self-induced. We're hanging out with the wrong people. We're doing the wrong stuff. And we realize in order to shed our past, we need to come up with a new community, a new group of people that's not going to tear us down and build us into that.
The best thing to do is the right thing. The next best thing to do is the wrong thing. But the worst thing to do is to do absolutely nothing. And I wasn't going to let all my firefighters down throughout the world and the country and do nothing. And so I went ahead and I talked to my wife, who's here in the audience with us here today, and I convinced her kind of unwillingly that we were going to refinance our house, maxed out our credit cards, take every penny that we own, and quit my job at a really big company. And I was going to go ahead and I was going to pursue this spark that had burned inside of me since I was, again, in about 6th or 7th grade. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And we did it. And I went out to one of the largest trade shows in the entire world for firefighters. And within 2 hours, we sold everything that we had in the booth. And the next month, we did $85,000 in sales in 1 month. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm going up against these. So how can we compete against each other so we've got a nice competitive advantage? And the way we do that is with this third C. This third C is called the community. The community is how we can really make sure that it doesn't matter what our product is. It doesn't necessarily matter what it is that we sell and how we sell it. It's our friends. It's our family. It's the people that we talk to. At some of the biggest, greatest communities out there, I heard you just mention them earlier.
There, I got the bug to become a firefighter. And the thing about the Marine Corps is we have this incredible talent of taking things that are really fun and making them as miserable as possible. But in the fire service, we take things that are really miserable and we try to make it as fun as possible. What I learned here was, again, discipline, the importance of being followed. If you're not disciplined when you're going into a fire, it's real simple. You're going to die. It's as simple as that. You have to be disciplined about putting your air mask on, about checking your gear, making sure your batteries are charged up, all those little things. And I remembered the teachers that would get on me for missing a loop on my belt or they're not wearing a belt. Why were they doing this? Well, they were getting me to pay attention to those details. It's so vitally important. And in this case here, it's literally life and death.
When you take off your uniform, you feel like your time of service has stopped. And she's given us an opportunity to continue to serve our community even though we're no longer wearing our uniforms now.
In facilities like Kroger's across the country, it's going to help my fellow firefighters out. But the other benefit is the cost savings. This is saving millions upon millions of dollars because you never have to replace batteries or light bulbs or electricity or technology and apply it to firefighters so they could see this same technology and be able to see each other in the dark. They can feel imperfections that you and I couldn't find. And I think the most poetic beauty of this whole entire relationship is here you have people that can't see are making products that are going to help those of us that can see find our way out of the dark. Harry Eastman, who was an intelligence officer with the Army over in Iraq, started a program honoring post 9/11 veterans that started and founded their own companies. And as a result of some of the research she found out, she realized that playing cards are such an integral part.
The faces on the back of these cards?
So we have the logos of each of the cards for each of the companies. Some of these are founded by Gold Star parent, 52 veteran-owned companies.
I love it. So where can we pick these up?
So they're available through US Playing Cards and Amazon.com. And it's honoring our company here in Cincinnati, Lumaware, and we specialize in gear that helps firefighters see each other, and we also make it you'll ever experience to not be able to find your way around. And I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to do something to help my brother and sister firefighters so they would never experience what I experienced of getting disoriented. So I started working with photoluminescent technology. We're able to make that pigment work more efficiently by spreading those crystals out, allowing more light to pass through those crystals, and as a result, get a high output. We're seeing glow up to 80 hours in some of our materials now.
Wyoming firefighter turned entrepreneur Zach Green came up with the idea and first used the technology to...
By preventing that first slip, that first fall, can stop that stacking effect and allow people to keep moving, because at the end of the day, egress is all about movement. We want